You stand accused of neglect of duty. What say you?
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't mean to be falling asleep on watch.
You admit that you are guilty, and therefore your punishment shall be to kiss the gunner's daughter.
Oh, that seems all right. But for our naive sailor,
It really wouldn't be.
whilst writing my book, The Jenny's Revenge, a tale about a crew of pirate hunters, all women, out for revenge against those that destroyed their lives, available on Amazon, I found out that when it came to punishments, the Navy and pirates had some of the worst. Take, for example, our poor sailor. He has to kiss the gunner's daughter. This involved being tied face first to a cannon, said gunner's daughter. His trousers were then pulled down and he was beaten on his bare behind in front of the entire crew. Dependent on if he was man or boy, depending on what he was beaten with, a birch rod or a cat o' nine tails. This is considered to be a lesser punishment as well. Most of the men, though, didn't get to make out with the gunner's daughter. Nope, they were flogged. This, again, was in front of the entire crew and with a cat o' nine tails. The cat, as it was commonly referred to, was a vicious whip. Made from rope or rawhide, it had 9 tails, each knotted at the end so as to dig deep into the flesh. The guilty party would then be tied to a part of the ship, stripped to the waist, and the boatswain's mate would then administer however many lashings he had been awarded. Now, these punishments were mostly for neglect of duty, but if you were found guilty of something like theft, then you had to run the gauntlet. Stealing from a crewmate was a major offence, even on a pirate ship, and the punishment fit the crime. You were encouraged at sword point to walk between rows of the crew, each armed with a length of rope that was knotted at the end, which they would beat you with as you walked past. You were encouraged not to go too fast by another sword in your chest. Now, as bad as that sounds, and many people were reported to have died from it, it paled in comparison to keel hauling. This was reserved for the most heinous of crimes, such as striking an officer or mutiny. Those to be keel hauled were brought up on deck, stripped naked, their hands and wrists tied with rope, one of which travelled underneath the ship. Then they were hauled over the side and pulled underneath the ship at a rate determined by those pulling the ropes. As if going underwater wasn't bad enough, the bottom of the ship was covered in barnacles which would slice into the skin like razors. On the plus side, if you didn't drown or bleed to death, your crime was generally pardoned. Now I know what you're thinking. What about walking the plank? Sorry, there's no evidence to say that this ever happened. After all, why go to all the effort to put out a plank when you could just push somebody over the side? So, unless you be looking to be punished, I'd suggest you be behaving yourselves. Savvy?